Well, hello. Thanks for joining us. Welcome in to WTOL 11 News at 6.
We begin with our top story of the day. It centers around the UAW. Workers at the supplier Mobis North America, they are striking for the first time.
And there is more uncertainty tonight when it comes to General Motors and the vote there.
The WTOL 11 team is breaking down everything you need to know. Michael Sandlin has the latest as UAW chapters vote on their Big Three contracts. And Kaylee Kirby brings us the latest on the Mobis workers strike outside the Toledo Jeep plant.
But let's start with Michael. Why are outlets like the Associated Press already predicting GM may or may not pass this contract? In fact, they're leaning toward may not.
Jeff, it's because a number of major plants across the country, including right here in Toledo, have already voted no on the contract. But at this hour, we don't have that vote confirmed either way. Meanwhile, with Ford and Stellantis, at least at this hour, things are a little more clear-cut. It's ratification day for the Stellantis workers at UAW Local 12. After 6 weeks of striking, they get to decide if the new contracts are right for them and if all their hard work is paid off. And because Local 12 was on the picket line from the very beginning, if they approve it, they get a little kickback from the company.
Sean's done a great job negotiating with the company, and they're going to reimburse us for the time we spend on the picket line. It's probably about $4,500 a person.
But not every union hall is getting that kind of recognition. And as votes continue to pour in from across the country, early results from each company's vote trackers show Stellantis and Ford are likely to move forward with their new contracts, with 79% and 66% respectively. But GM's polling continues to sink, hovering just below 55%. Here in Toledo, GM's propulsion facility is one of the shops that voted against the contract.
We talked about it all along was the pensions. It's only a 9.4% increase. So 9.4% barely covers the inflation for the last 2 years. And seeing how we haven't had an increase in the last 20 years, it's just not enough.
So if GM workers nationally walk away from the contract, what happens next? Arthur Wheaton, a logistics professor at Cornell University, says a few different scenarios could play out.
If they can't ratify it, is exactly what happened at Mack Truck. They voted a tentative agreement and they voted it down, so they can either go back out on strike or they go back to the bargaining table.
Potentially sending Toledo's propulsion plant workers back on the picket lines for the first time since 2019. But Wheaton warns that if GM's union workers set out on their own, they shouldn't set their sights too high.
So they could get a different signing bonus, they could get something, but in terms of the wage package, I don't think it's going to change. The terms and conditions for the tiers, that's not going to change. There could be some minor tweaks, but I don't think there would be a significant change in what they're going to get, because I think they really did get an awful lot in that contract.
It's important to keep in mind there's still 2 days left of voting and still dozens of local union halls across the country that still need to submit their votes. So we'll bring you the final tally, which could come as early as Friday. Reporting in Central Toledo, Michael Sandlin for WTOL 11.
We continue our team coverage right now with Kaylee Kirby. This strike is going on now with one of the suppliers. Kaylee.
Yeah, that's right, Melissa. The tables have kind of turned a little bit in the last couple of weeks. These Mobis employees are now on day one of the strike, and they're responsible for supplying what's called a chassis for the Jeep Gladiator. It's basically the frame for the entire vehicle. Now, we were here when those workers went on strike at 11:59 last night, as we mentioned, day one of the strike for them. And now that these employees are on strike, we're told production has stopped at the Jeep plant for the Gladiator. And the Gladiator is one of Jeep's top sellers. These workers are part of UAW Local 12 and say the reasons they're on strike are some of the same reasons the UAW went on strike against the Big Three. It's the first time these workers at this plant have ever gone on strike, but they saw how the UAW strike got auto workers a deal, and they're hoping for the same outcome here. For them, if it takes 40 days to get a fair deal with better pay, they'll stand here like their counterparts did.
This whole complex out here needs to be on somewhat the same contract, not 5 tiers in this building, 1 tier in this building. We all won. 8 tiers in that building. We all UAW Local 12. We went through it already for 40-some days, and we'll get through it again. If it takes another 40 days, we'll get through it again.
Now, right now, there's about 400 Mobis employees that are on strike. Right behind me, about a group of 20 striking outside of the North Toledo Assembly Complex. Reporting live in North Toledo, Kaylee Kirby, WTOL 11.
You can read more about the Mobis strike and where things stand currently with the UAW and the Big Three on our website, WTOL.com. And you can be certain that once we learn more, we'll make sure to update you both on air and online.